Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Environmental Social Justice. I am your host, Wendy Nystrom. Today, our special guest is Kevin Noertker. He is the CEO and founder of Ampaire. Ampaire is an electric airplane. They also do hybrid electric airplanes. So welcome to the show, Kevin.
Oh, thanks, Wendy. Appreciate you having me.
No problem. Now, you have some very exciting news that got announced yesterday. Do you want to share that?
Yeah, I'd love to. So yesterday we announced with one of our airline partners, Wingtips, their order for aircraft, our Eco Caravan, the hybrid electric upgrade to a Cessna Grand Caravan that we'll be bringing to market in just about 2 years.
Which is utterly fantastic. So for the audience to understand, getting 5 orders, and I believe there's also the option to buy more, that's
Correct.
huge, and especially for hybrid electric aviation.
That's right. So one of the early, really important validation factors is that you're building the right product that your customer really cares about. And working closely with Wingtips, we've ensured that the Eco Caravan is going to meet all of their requirements for deployment. One of the really exciting things about hybrid electric aviation is it enables bringing all this great technology from ground transportation electrification into aviation in a practical way that actually drives really solid benefits right up front. So the orders from companies like Wingtips are a great validation point up front, and ultimately will be a great customer relationship going forward.
And you guys are just growing. When we interviewed you, probably 6 or 8 months ago, you were still doing some tests, in Hawaii, gorgeous areas, I think Scotland. You guys are really ramping up. I mean, people are now using this.
That's right. So this is incredible progress with the team. So we, as you mentioned, we deployed with an airline in Hawaii where we're doing pilot projects. That was back in 2020. In 2021, we took that plane and we actually all the way out to Scotland, where we were flying with another airline in the Orkney Islands and down in Exeter and in Cornwall. Again, deploying the plane on airline routes, but working with all of the infrastructure partners, the ecosystem partners, whether it's charging, grid infrastructure, airports, local governments, airlines, and communities. And then that same plane is actually now on its way over to the Oshkosh Air Show here in the United States, making a long cross-country flight, which very well might be the longest hybrid electric cross-country flight ever. And so very exciting, just momentum across the board with our deployments of our hybrid electric planes. And in addition to that, the engineering team has been making great progress on our Eco Caravan. So that's the 9-seat launch product that we'll be bringing to market. Moved all the way through the concept development last year, through some of the major design milestones, built the system in its first iteration and tested on the ground earlier this year. Now we're racing toward first flight. So it's a very exciting time at Ampaire.
I mean, it's so cool. I mean, the cool factor being, hybrid electric, and doing all these things and building out the Cessnas. So that's the cool techie side of it. But the most important side that people probably don't really think about is the human side, the social justice side. You're bringing aviation to communities that maybe did not have that before. You're able to go to smaller airports and have low emissions, no emissions. Could you expand on that concept?
Absolutely. So this is at the core of our mission, to do something that has a positive impact on the world around us. And one of the major benefits that's brought with the electric vehicle technologies is the lower carbon emissions, of course, but then also for these aircraft, a lower cost to operate. Because we're cutting fuel out of the airline operating budget, or cutting a significant portion of it out, for our launch hybrid products, you're looking at over 50% reduction in fuel burn for these planes. That means that the planes are better for the environment and more economical to fly. When you're more economical to fly, that means that you can justify flights that are into more niche markets, smaller communities. In the United States, we've got like 5,000 airports, most of which are just community airports, private pilots, generally not used by the broader community. And yeah, it's because it's so expensive to fly in and out. You don't get scheduled flights. But what we're able to do is we're actually able to give that the positive, the economics, the low cost flights, that airlines will be able to actually fly into many of these regional and municipal airports, where they're able to offer reasonable ticket prices and operate in a profitable way, which is really what's needed in order to build up a market there. So it's a major unlock for these communities where we can increase accessibility, fly more flights to more airports with more people than ever before. And it's a very, very exciting opportunity ahead.
I'm personally looking forward to that because I have to go from LA to Sonoma County for a board meeting. And I thought, I don't want to have a carbon footprint or a large carbon footprint, so I'm going to look at a train. Okay, so it's right up the coast. You'd think direct line. So what takes me 6 hours to drive or 1 hour to fly would take an 11.5 hours to take by train and 3 changes.
Oh my goodness.
That is not feasible. And
That's
driving
right.
is not feasible. So I bought the airplane ticket, feeling incredibly guilty. And what you guys are doing, hopefully in the very near future, when I have my next board meeting up there, I can hop an Ampaire plane and be like, I'm good. I'm happy.
I'm hopeful. I'm very hopeful. I mean, what's great is we've actually done the flight from LA to San Francisco before in one of our hybrid planes. And so it's possible. I mean, our planes have plenty of range for it. This is one of the great parts about starting with hybrid electric, that the range anxiety that you might fear or feel while you're driving or flying a fully electric aircraft doesn't exist when you're in that hybrid configuration. So we're able to get plenty of the range and actually fly those types of routes already. So it's certainly coming. I had a similar experience where I needed to go up to a friend's wedding up in San Jose. So that was from Los Angeles to San Jose, and was faced with the decision on whether to fly or to drive. And the reality of it came down to time and convenience. That though it's only a 50-minute flight, all of the going to the major airports and getting through security and showing up early, that flight, though it's a very quick flight, the time frame around it would have taken 4.5 hours.
Yeah.
But the drive was only going to take us 5 hours or 5.5 hours.
Yeah.
And so from the flexibility side, we decided to drive, which is wild because I'm building hopefully the solution for that, right? Where we're able to deliver easy to access regional flights, sometimes even on demand at price points that everybody can afford. And that's a wonderful future.
So I'm kind of thinking you're the George Jetson of our generation.
Well, I'd like to think I'm a little more practical than George Jetson, but we'll get there someday. Yes.
No, I mean, seriously, I honestly see a future where people are able to say, hey, I need to go up to Palm Springs. And some people who do take those commercial flights, which I mean, I don't get that at all, but it's a 2-hour drive. But if you can just pop on a plane 15 minutes later, very low to no emissions. Yeah. That's a no-brainer. I mean,
it is. And if you're able to do so at a price point which just makes sense, because 2.5 hours in the car each way versus 15-minute flight either way. At these municipal airports, you could show up just about 10-15 minutes ahead of the flight as well. Yeah. And with good economics, they can run some of these routes almost like bus routes, where you show up and just jump on the flight. And so it's this new paradigm for how you could actually connect communities, which when you connect communities, you're now bridging economic development between areas, moving goods and people, and hopefully there's this broader positive impact to the economy as well around the increased flow of people and goods.
And I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I am a big advocate for social justice. And one of those things being is people able to get to jobs where they can make more money, not to say where they live. So this would give them the opportunity, if it's cost effective and it's as efficient as like taking a bus, that people can hop to and from places relatively easily, and make the living that they want to have while still living in a place where they may want to live rather than within a metropolis.
Of course, and that means wage growth in places that otherwise would struggle to, and it's great, and oftentimes the like kind of social mobility of people who otherwise wouldn't have had access to these types of jobs. So very, very exciting opportunities there.
And also just when we talked about the Hawaii trips about 8 months ago, just getting to certain people that probably didn't get off the island very often. You're now allowing families to see each other, people to visit. And, that's again, the social stance where, humanity is important. So, I mean, you're the embodiment of just doing good things.
Thank you. I really do appreciate that. And I'll say when we go and we visit these communities, right? One of our kind of the premise here is we want to engage with the end users early on to understand their needs and to be able to advocate as well as we can for them and to deliver products that help them. And
Yeah.
so that means that when we deployed in Hawaii, I had the opportunity to meet locals who were great, just so grateful for even the thought that they might have greater access to the communities around the islands at a more affordable rate. Or
Oh,
similarly, when we were in Scotland, just the passion and joy that people have both around the accessibility, but then also for those communities that rely upon aviation, sometimes they still do recognize its negative impact on the environment around them. And the thought that we can now solve both of these problems, their needs for travel as well as decrease the emissions of it. You just see the spark in folks' eyes, and it's wonderful to engage with them. It's really one of the motivating factors here.
I know, just seeing, people enlighten and just see that the fact that their world is opening up to them in ways they never could. I can also assume it's probably quieter than a jet engine, than a gasoline-powered engine.
That's correct, especially the fully electric part of the system. It's quiet. So there was a time that I was up in one of our hybrid planes, and we throttled back the combustion engine and went fully electric, just soaring over the California coastline. It is majestic and absolutely wonderful. Various organizations have done studies where they've actually measured the acoustic footprint of fully electric aircraft, and it's almost imperceptible as it's flying overhead. So you just compare that against right now, how do you know a plane's flying overhead? Well, you start by hearing it.
Yeah.
This is a paradigm shift, and hybrid electric is one step toward that direction. So we do have a combustion engine, which does create a little bit of the noise, though it is lower than the original fully combustion aircraft. So it's a step in the right direction.
And you're doing it the right way, taking steps, being safe, being strategic,
Hmm.
just jumping full feet and say, we're going to do, everything at once. That's just too much at once. You're taking these nice strategic steps to make sure it's done right.
Absolutely. And in an industry where safety is so paramount, where
Yes.
we must keep people safe when we put them up in the planes, right? That is just essential.
Oh, yes.
We don't want to stretch too far further than people are either comfortable with or further than the technology is ready to support. So this is kind of the premise of our approach at Ampaire.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing your planes up in the air, and please keep me posted if you guys ever do any flybys. I will be out there with my camera taking pictures.
Wonderful, definitely. And if you happen to be if anybody watching happens to have been at Oshkosh or watched videos, we'll hopefully be flying one of our planes there coming up in Oshkosh 2022 just next week. And yes, a lot of good news coming out soon about other flights for Ampaire. So
Oh,
exciting times.
I'm so excited for you guys. I mean, you're just
Thank
the
you.
real deal. So I'm so grateful for what you're doing. And
Thank you.
on that, I'm fangirling. I know this, I do this, but thank you for your time, guys. Check out Ampaire, check out Kevin and his team. They're doing the right thing. So thank you again. And we will see you soon. I'm Wendy Nystrom with Environmental Social Justice. We'll see you next time.